I speak for the negative, and my partner and I believe that women should not be allowed in combat. Besides the reasons that my partner has already begun to claim, I will show that there are 4 unique disadvantages that will result if we allow women into combat. The first is sexual harassment in the military will increase. The second is the effect of pregnancy and its relationship to women in combat. The third is that standards will be lowered for combat units. And the fourth is that women will negatively impact unit cohesion. I'll begin with my first claim, that sexual harassment will rise if women are allowed into combat. Now, sexual harassment is a serious problem in the military. According to an MSNBC article written in 2008 entitled Military Sexual Harassment Data Released, 1/3 of women in the military and 6% of men said that they were sexually harassed, according to the latest Pentagon survey on the issue. Now, this is clearly a problem. However, sexual harassment can also lead to sexual assaults and destroy military effectiveness. According to Ryan J. Rayleigh, who wrote an article entitled Military Personnel Say Pentagon Ignores Sexual Assaults, he claims that Mrs. B, now the names are fictitious for anonymity, who served in the Navy, said she was held down and raped repeatedly by 2 shipmates while on protocol in Thailand. She reported the rape to military police on duty, who took her to get a medical exam. She was bruised and injured so badly that the physician stopped the exam and began to cry, according to the lawsuit. After she reported the rape, she became the target of harassment, was refused food and imprisoned on the medical ward, and her rapist still remained on active duty, albeit with docked pay. Now, this is clearly a problem, and allowing women into combat will only increase the amount of time that women spend with men, and it should and will logically increase the number of sexual incidents. And not only will this increase the number of sexual incidents, sexual harassment is an increasing problem. According to that same MSNBC article, there were 2,688 assaults in 2007, and in 2005 there were 2,400 assaults. So clearly, this is a problem. I'll now move on to my second claim, that pregnant women would be problematic in combat. According to a Time article in 1979, at any given time, 12% of the 130,000 U.S. military are pregnant with a child. Now, why is this a problem? Well, pregnancy can lead to soldiers being non-deployable, which would be disastrous for a combat unit. According to Major Meredith A. Butcher, on a report entitled The Impact of Pregnancy on U.S. Army Readiness, written in 1999, on average, women were 3 times more non-deployable than men in Operation Desert Shield and Operation Desert Storm as a result of pregnancy. Now, pregnancy is already a problem, but in combat units, this would be an even greater problem, as combat units rely heavily on being dependent on their squad mates, and if the squad mates have to become non-deployable, well, that would be a problem because the replacement would have to come in, and they're not trained with those replacements. Additionally, pregnancy decreases military effectiveness by causing animosity between squad mates. According to that same report, the presence of women in a combat unit is often seen as increasing the workload of everyone else and brings with it the risk of causing resentment among coworkers. To qualify this, Anna Simmons, in an article entitled Women Can Never Belong in Combat, she states that pregnancy and problems associated with menstruation can hardly be considered random or accidental events that could happen to any soldier. No comparable or separate but equal set of disabilities renders males non-deployable. Because this is true, males will see that women are different, and this will allow them, that men will always wonder if women will have to become non-deployable, and it will lead to a distrust of women in the Army. I will now move on to my third claim, which is that allowing women into combat will decrease physical standards for combat units. Current physical fitness standards are actually inherently unfair to men. According to Paul Hare, in an article entitled Why Women Shouldn't Be Allowed to Serve in Combat, written in 2011, he says, for instance, if a 33-year-old male were to do 43 push-ups, 55 sit-ups, and run 2 miles in 15 minutes 18 seconds for his Army Physical Fitness Test, or APFT, he would earn a score of 224 points out of 300. This would be considered average at best. Yet, if a 33-year-old female did the exact same, she would score a 272 and be considered in vastly better shape than the male. Now, while these standards are actually in place to compensate for women's lack of upper body strength, as Katrina had mentioned, it gives the illusion that women can be in better shape than men, even if they're not as physically as capable. Now, this is completely contrary to my opponent's claim that it violates equality, because here is a case where it's not really fair to men. So I guess equality is bad when it hurts women, but it's acceptable when it helps them. In addition, current women physical fitness standards match up with men who cannot currently be on active duty. According to United States military information, the Army has raised the enlistment age to 42 for active duty. So men aged 42 to 46 have to do 30 push-ups to pass their APFT and complete a 2-mile run in 18 minutes 42 seconds. However, a female has to do only 19 push-ups, which is an 11 push-up decrease, and complete a 2-mile run in about 10 seconds longer. Now, these standards are used to normalize the differences in genders as well as age. However, because women don't even meet the lowest men's standard who can compete in combat, why should they be allowed to be in combat? Now, we'll move on to my fourth and final issue, that women in combat decreases combat units cohesion. Women disintegrate the normal bonds that form between men in combat. According to Anna Simmons, in an article entitled "Women Can Never Belong in Combat," she found that what problematically hurt men in integrated combat units in the past was the sexual competition that would wreck comradeship and discipline. In addition, she states that adding one woman to a team of males and the dynamic among the men will immediately shift. Add more than one woman and multiple pools of tension will overlap. In the wake of rivalry come envy, frustration, impatience, and disgust. Women cannot help but rearrange the team's comfort zone. Now, while my opponents may claim that it's unfair to women because this is really a male psychological problem, the current status of our military relies heavily on men in combat, and so women really, if they are to be allowed in combat, would have to react to the men's status. So it is for these 4 disadvantages that my partner and I firmly oppose the addition of women in the combat.